Welcome to RevelatorAlf. I am doing this transmission cover on the Harley Davidson Sport Glide with the M8 engine. Of course you know that. And well, suffice to say, it's a right pig of a job, isn't it, to take that transmission cover off. So very quick video here. It's not a how to do it, but you need a 3/16 Allen key, and then it would help if it was a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter all around, both in height and length. Eventually the screws come off, but what I found is actually easy just to take off the exhaust, get as much of the rest of the bike out of the way, and then you got, well, more space, especially if you've got farmer's hands like me. Anyway, just about to take the transmission cover off. I'm going to do a separate video on what I find in there, but really it's just a quick video to say doing that, and then I'm going to put a barb through it and put a hose on it, and bish bash bosh, done. Right, hopefully that'll let it breathe a little bit easier. Let me do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just going to cover up the transmission opening there with a rag or a few rags so nothing can get in there. Right, and then I'm going to carry on. Night, 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 night. Right, off to the workshop. Okay, so you've seen all the videos, I'm sure, about this venting the transmission cover. You can buy the ones, of course, from Trask for about $300. Pounds, shekels, whatever. But anyway, you've seen the videos where people are just drilling holes through the top of the transmission cover and then putting a hose on it and a filter, and away you go. Right. So basically, I've taken the bits and pieces off my my vented dipstick that I made, and then I did away with in favour of this, really. So basically, I've already got the hose, I've already got the bits. I've got a one-way valve. See, that's a one-way valve. Now, there's much actually debate whether you need a one-way valve to keep any negative pressure in the crankcase. So it's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it? I was watching a Kevin Baxter video the other day, and he was basically talking about the different options for vented dipsticks, and, you know, whether you've got the A1 cycles or whether you've got the fueling one, you know, so on and so forth. Now, the A1 cycles actually is just an open vent, and when I had my vented dipstick, I ran an open vent, and he didn't say whether one was better or worse. And I've kind of read lots of research on it, and negative pressure is good for the power stroke when the piston is driving down, because then it relieves a lot of the excess pressure, let's say, or pressure buildup in the crankcase, and helps to prevent blow-by from the combustion side. But from the other side, on the other stroke, on the upstroke as it were, it actually creates a bit of a vacuum, so it hinders the piston performance going up. So either way, it's a plus and a minus, but you're probably going to get a bit more power on the power stroke. But I don't think it's that much. So do you know what? I'm going to try it with both, you know. But all I can say is when I ran the open line vented dipstick, the bike ran free, or the engine ran freer. Anyway, so that's that. I mean, let me know in the comments which is best. But certainly from all the research I've done and the videos I've watched and everything that I've read and the stuff that I already know, there isn't much of a difference, I've got to say. Right. Now, which barb to put through? So here's the thing. So I went to one of these hydraulic shops the other day. Very good they were, and we sort of discussed different things, and basically I've got these options here. I can put a threaded nut, there you go, I can put a threaded nut on it. Now it really depends how thick the plastic is here, if I'll get a good seal, and I'm going to put some sealant on it anyway, but then I'm going to put some red Loctite on it there, if I can get a proper grab on it, and if I get enough purchase or enough space left on the thread, I may even wire lock it. So that's that really. Right, let me drill this and get all this sorted out. First, I'll just remove the gasket. Having a pick helps. Boom. It's one of these flat gaskets, just like you've got on the Derby cover. There you go. Right, so let's put that somewhere safe. So basically, this is the front side, or the front of the bike. The front wheel of the bike is that way. So I kind of want it there. I can't go too far back because I don't think, wherever that nut was, I'm not going to have enough purchase or enough room either side to do this up. In fact, I don't think I have enough room anyway, and I really want to put a nut on the back of this. So I think I'm going to have to go near the front of it. So that's a 14mm nut. Let me see if I can get... Yeah, so you see right at the top bit, when it's near the back, it won't go. But about halfway round, and then go to the front, I got more. So I think about a third of the way down, that'll give me enough clearance to put this on, and away I go and give it a good old tighten. Right, time to do some drilling. So which barb should I put on? This is a kind of an interesting barb, because this is the fitting that goes through the transmission cover, right? So bolt there, bolt there. Then this is the barb bit that you actually bolt onto the top, and there is, you'll see, it's a pressure fitting that'll stop it. Now I'm not running a pressure line, it's just a vent line, but I just think this is a better option as opposed to having the hose directly onto the barb. That might create a little bit of pressure there. Here it's, I don't know, I'm going to go with this. Right, so this is 8mm. That's an 8mm wide thread. So what I may do, put a 7mm on there, drill bit, put a 7mm, and then tap it as well, just to help it go through and get the best seal as possible. All right, let me do that. Right, 7mm now. Right, I just stepped down the drill bit because that was going to be too much. Right, 7. Just going to clean up the outer edges. Right, let me just test fit this barb. Yeah, I think that's way too small. Let me step it up 7.5. Right, got the hole drilled now. Just going to pop this through. It only looks to be about 3 or 4mm thick, this plastic. So I think I'm going to have enough on the other side to get it. So I might even try for a little washer, a rubber washer on this. Just tap it. Just doing it by hand. There we go. I was thinking about putting a copper washer on, but actually I'm just going to put a rubber O-ring on it, and it fits perfectly on this fitting. And when it goes down, it's going to squish it nicely. Right, let me do that. Put a bit of sealant silicone on it. Bish bash bosh, done. Right, it is on. It is on. Right, so put a bit of sealant on there as well. I was going to go for some red Loctite, but this is sort of high temperature sealant. Somebody made a comment the other day about silicone. Yeah, in engines is not a good thing. I agree, but this is oil resistant as well, and it's high temp, and also this is really strong stuff. Right, what I'm going to do, I'll put a little bit of extra sealant there. I do have a rubber O-ring there. It has kind of warped a little bit as I've tightened it, and it's bang on there tight. So really I'm just going to add a little bit of sealant, let it cure off for 24 hours, and then put it on the bike basically. Right, back to the bike now. I've got the transmission cover on, and just going to be screwing everything in. Mixture of this and just standard Allen keys. I've run my hose line through there, through the frame, and basically I'm just going to have it sat at the top here, there. So I'm going to measure it, then cut it again. I've got the one-way valve, which I can just take out of an EB, and then I've just got a little filter on the back, and see how that works. But that's about it really. It's a one-way valve. I don't really need the filter, but there we go. Right, let's get going, shall we? Okay, so I've got the transmission cover on, all the screws are in, and they're tightened up to, well, just by eye, as it were. But now I need to torque them down. How am I going to do it? And you've probably never seen this on any other video about this. How do you actually torque them down? Because they're supposed to be torqued for 14.9 to 17.6 Newton meters, or 132 to 156 inch-pounds. Right, how are you going to do it? Okay, so it's going to be a mixture of a torque wrench with a 3/16 Allen or hex fitting, key fitting, and an actual, just a standard 3/16 hex key as well, or Allen key. Right. This is how you do it, and this is probably the only way I can think of doing it, unless you've got speciality tools, which I don't have, right? You come to the right side of the bike, and this one here is the only one that I can get a torque wrench on. My torque wrench is set to 16 Newton meters, so I'm going to tighten this until it clicks. Okay, I know this one here is 16 Newton meters. I'm going to get my Allen key, put it in the same one, and kind of do a pressure test to see how much force I have to put on it before it starts to turn. And that's quite a bend. Right, so that's basically how I'm going to try and do the rest. Just tighten them up until I feel this Allen key bend. Then I know that's at 16 Newton meters ish. Right, let me do that. Right, I can feel that bending. So I've done the far corner, and that's bending this Allen key. So I know it's not exact science, but without the speciality tools, that's all I'm going for. So 16 Newton meters there. Now let's do the rest. Right, so now I'm just going to attach the hose and then just route it through so it ends about here. Cut it a little bit so it's not too long. Okay, all buttoned up now. Exhaust back on, covers back on, all the pipe work all done. So let's see how it is. I've just quickly started it up. I think I've got an exhaust leak now from the flange gasket, but there we go. When it rains, it pours, as it's just started to rain outside as well. Anyway, let me fire it up and, well, let's have a little sound, shall we? Well, the neighbours are going to love me, aren't they? Anyway, so it seems all right, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and test ride it and see if there's any difference. I mean, I can't really feel any air coming out of the hose there. And when I put the endoscope down there, it's about an 8mm hole that's coming through. So, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see when I've ridden it if there's any oil coming up through there as well. But there you go, that's it. So I suppose the top tip from this video is how you torque the screws down on the transmission cover. But it's well worth just having a good look in there anyway and seeing what's what. But yeah, it's just a pain in the arse job, I've got to say that. And it's you know, for me, I would say just take the exhaust off and just do it that way. You've got so much more room, and it's actually not so bad then. But if you try and do it with the exhaust still on, forget it. It's a waste of time. But there we go. Right, catch you on the next video, whenever that is. You know, I'm sure there are much better videos out there explaining how to do this. But I thought I'd just, well, show you what's what. Catch you again. Ta-da.